I didn't believe the stories at first. No one my age did. The old people would sit by the fire and talk about the wicked prince, but we always thought they were just trying to scare us into behaving. I wish I had listened. Our village, deep in the heart of the forest, had always been quiet. Peaceful, even. Until the prince came. His name was Prince Afolabi, and he ruled over a large kingdom beyond the hills. People said he was cruel, but we never saw him. His palace was far away. But every few years, he would send his soldiers to our village, demanding tribute. Cows, grains, and sometimes, people. The stories say the prince needed blood to keep his youth. It was late one evening when they came for Femi. He was only 17. My closest friend. He laughed as we sat under the baobab tree, talking about the day he would leave the village and see the world. But that night, the soldiers came. Femi's family screamed as they dragged him away. I watched from the shadows, my heart pounding. I did nothing. I didn't even scream. The next morning, his mother wept by the river. She knew what we all knew. Once the prince took you, you never returned. Weeks passed. Femi was gone, and the village sank into silence. But one night, I saw him. Or at least, I thought I did. It was late, and I was returning from checking the traps in the forest when I saw someone standing at the edge of the village, near the trees. I thought my mind was playing tricks on me, but then I heard it, "Help me," the voice whispered. It was weak, broken, but it was Femi's voice. I ran over, and there he was. Femi, but not Femi. His skin was pale, and his eyes, they weren't right. Dark, hollow. He didn't look like the friend I grew up with. He didn't even look human anymore. The prince, his voice cracked, and he collapsed before he could finish. I grabbed him, tried to shake him awake, but his body was cold. Too cold for someone alive. I dragged him back to the village, shouting for help. When the elders saw him, their faces went pale. They knew what had happened. He wasn't dead, but he wasn't alive either. One elder, Baba Leke, spoke in a low voice, barely above a whisper. The prince, he uses people. Drains their life. Keeps their souls trapped, halfway between this world and the next. Femi wasn't the first. There had been others. The prince's curse was spreading. Femi stayed with me for a few days. He didn't speak, didn't eat. He just stared at the wall. At night, I'd hear him whispering to himself. Or to someone else. One night, I woke up to find him standing at the door, staring out at the trees. When I asked him what he was doing, he just said, "He's calling me. I have to go back." The next morning, Femi was gone. A few villagers went looking for him, but they found nothing. Just footprints leading into the forest, disappearing at the river's edge. Baba Leke told me it was better not to search. Once the prince marks you, there's no escape, he said. Femi is gone now. Pray the prince doesn't come for you next. But I couldn't accept that. Neither could the others. We were tired of living in fear. The prince had to be stopped. So, a group of us, the young men and women, gathered in secret. We knew the elders wouldn't help. They were too afraid. We planned to end the prince's wickedness, once and for all. We found Baba Leke's old scrolls, and buried within them was the secret to the prince's power, the blood jar. Every life the prince took, every drop of blood he spilled, was stored in this jar, hidden deep in his palace. Destroying it would break the curse. We waited for the soldiers to return, but this time, we were ready. We followed them back to the prince's palace, creeping through the dense forest under the cover of night. The palace was grand, with high walls and golden roofs, but it felt empty, cold. We found the blood jar hidden in a dark chamber, glowing faintly with the souls of those who had been taken. With shaking hands, I raised the rock and smashed the jar. As it shattered, a deafening scream filled the room, followed by silence. The next day, the prince's soldiers came, but something was different. Their armor was dull, and their eyes, once filled with cruelty, looked lost, confused. The prince was dead. Without the blood jar, his power had crumbled, and with it, his wicked rule. Femi never came back, and neither did the others. But the curse was broken. Our village was free. The lesson: fear keeps evil alive. For years, we had let the prince control us through fear, believing there was nothing we could do. But once we decided to act, his power was nothing more than smoke. Evil only grows when good people do nothing. If you don't face your fear, it will only keep growing. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next one.